Shalom, welcome to my channel, The Hebrew Bible. This is Moses Gumadi, and in this video we'll talk about the Happy New Year. Happy Roman New Year 2025. So Happy New Year to you all. Now, we all know that this year is a Roman New Year, which essentially began with Julian calendar, made by Emperor Julius, and thereafter it was corrected by the Catholic Pope Gregorius. Gregorian calendar is what we have. But what does the Bible say about the year? We read it in Genesis chapter 1 verse 14 about God appointing the lights in the heavens for the purpose of days and years besides appointed times. So let me read this in Hebrew. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Me'orot, lights, Birkiyah Hashemayim, in the expanse or the firmament of the heavens, Lehavdil Bein Hayom Uvein Halayla, to divide between the day and the night. Okay, we know that every day, like the sun sets, sun rises, and so it works. Vehayule Otot, let them be for signs. Ul Moadim, this is for the appointed seasons that are written in the book of Leviticus chapter 23 and other places. Ul Yamim, for counting the days. Veshanim, and the years. Right, so the years are determined by the lights in the firmament of heaven. Shanim are the years, and this word is the plural of the singular word Shana. But sometimes you can find in the Bible the plural word Shanot. Shanot. You can read in Deuteronomy 32 where it says Shanot Dor Vador. That is the years of generations. Remember the days of old. It says Zachor, Yamot Olam, etc. So he tells them to remember the Shanot Dor Vador. Okay, Shanatayim is another very interesting word. It's like comes from Shanot, but then Aim ending is added to indicate the dual, that is 2 years. The Shanatayim is 2 years. Okay. Right, that's about the years. But let's get to the next verse that we read in the book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 14, which we have already read. And the next verse it says, Vehayu lim'orot birkiyah hashamayim lehair, that's the to light up al haaretz, YHVH. And so let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven, the same lights the God that God has created. What are the lights? It's there in verse 16. We look at it, and the lights are the luminaries. They are me'orot. Me'orot in Hebrew. Sometimes you don't have this vav, but then there are other places you have an extra vav here, me'orot. This is a shorter spelling, and the full spelling is me'orot. Okay, luminaries. And we find this word here again in Genesis 1:16. We see here, Vaya'as Elohim et shanei ha-me'orot ha-gedolim. God made 2 great lights, ha-me'orot ha-gedolim. Okay, 2 great, great lights. Shanei is 2 great lights. So the word for me'orot then is in the singular ma'or. Ma'or is the singular for me'orot, which is luminary. And God made 2 great lights. And what else what did he do it for? Sorry. Let's go back. Vayas Elohim et shanei ha-me'orot ha-gedolim ve'et ha-ma'or ha-gadol. That's the greater light. Lememshelet hayom, to God, to govern the day. Ve'et ha-ma'or ha-katon, that's the smaller light, luminary. Lememshelet halayla, to govern or to rule the night. Ve'et ha-kochavim, that's the stars. Also he made the stars. So essentially the sun and the moon, that's what it is. And then the stars he made to govern sun and moon to govern the day and the night, and also he made the stars. And all lights we read there to govern the days and years, etc. So years need to be obviously determined by the lights. That's what is indicated. By the way, the word Maor, luminary, comes from the word for light, which is Or. Okay, this is the Or. We read in Genesis 1:3, Yehi Or, Yehi Or. So let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so now the question then, how do we calculate the year? How do we determine the years based on the heavenly luminaries, that is sun and the moon? We read in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, God said, Vayomer Adonai, YHWH, El Moshe to Moshe, Ve'el Aharon to Aaron, Be'eretz Mitzrayim lemor, in the land of Canaan. And he said like this, HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodashim. This new moon, it says, is translated as month, because the month and the new moon are the same. But month is about the period. This is about really the point at which the new moon occurs. Okay, HaChodesh hazeh, this new moon shall be for you the Rosh Chodashim. So God, on a particular new moon, told them that, hey, this new moon is the first new moon for you. Rishon hu lachem lechodshe hashana. So in the new moons, or in the months of the year, this shall be the first one, Rishon. So the religious calendar, so why is he telling them this shall be the first one? Because traditionally they have been keeping the creation calendar. The idea is that the creation began on the 1st of Tishrei, and there is a bit of an indication of that in the calculation of various dates given in the book of Genesis about Noah's flood and all that stuff. We can come to that conclusion. But that's the creation of the world was in the 1st of Tishrei. But here he's introducing a religious calendar, which is why the Jews follow two different calendars, and a civil calendar, which is normally followed now, but the religious calendar was followed when the temple was up and running, with all those festivals that need to be observed within the temple. HaChodesh hazeh, this new moon or this month, lachem rosh chodashim. So the month begins, and these are the months of the year. So the month begins, and that month obviously begins the year, etc. So that's the way. So obviously the moon is the one that's helping us to find, helping them rather to find the beginning of the year. Chodesh is month or new moon. But what about the years? What about the sun? Because we read here in Genesis 1:14 that God said, Vayomer Elohim yehi me'orot birkiyah shamai lehavdil ben yom. So if you count 12 months, if you only purely go by the moon, right, this is the first moon. Okay, then you count 12 moons, and the 13th moon would be the first moon. And then you count like that, you'll fall behind the solar cycle, which is why leap months are used. And why we should pay attention to the sun, because it says in Genesis chapter 1 verse 14, that it is not only the moon, it's both the sun. Me'orot, plural. The me'orot were given for shanim, years. So you need the sun as well to determine the year. So how do you do that? Well, there is evidence that in Egypt, sundials have been used for a very long time. Obviously, Joseph would have known it. Probably the patriarchs knew, we do not know, but surely, they had something. Surely, not everything is written, but there is proof that Egyptians had it even before the time of Exodus, and therefore, it is not a big leap of faith for us to assume that the leaders of Israel had an idea of how to use the sun to determine when is the equinox. Why equinox? Okay, by the way, there is one sundial mentioned in the Bible, in the book of Kings, also in the book of Isaiah, where when Hezekiah was healed, right? He asked for a sign, and the Lord gave him a sign that 10 steps on the dial of Ahaz, 10 steps will go back on the sun. So it's, the English word is dial, but basically we read in Hebrew that ma'alot, that is the steps, on the steps of Ahaz. So people have come up with various interpretations of Ahaz's sundial would have looked. People have come up with different pictures, and this is one guy who has actually put something like this with actual steps. And so the shadow of this side will fall on the steps at different months, on the different places, etc. So, and I'm sure at different times of the day as well. So you could determine the time of the day. You could also actually determine the month using a sundial. And how do you do that? You can do that based on this principle. So the shadow direction depends on where the sun is on a particular time, and in the equinox. So you have the equinox line. There's something known as an equinox line on the gnomon, as they call it. It's a sundial. So here you see in the other picture on the right hand side, you have the winter solstice, the summer solstice. Equinox lines could be drawn based on observation, and they can be followed the next year. So you can correct the lunar calendar back to the solar calendar by observing when are the new moons and when is the equinox, and determine the first month based on the new moon that occurs after the spring equinox. And so this year, for example, in Jerusalem time, you can see March 20th is the equinox, and then March 30th would be the new moon, or 29th, which is why the dates they gave for Rosh Chodesh is Saturday night of March 29th, or Sunday, March 30th. It ends the next day, which is first Nisan, or first of Aviv. Okay, that's the first month. And so this scheme, lunisolar calendar, or a solar and lunar combination of calendar, actually can follow the instruction that's given in Genesis, and can be a basis. It's not a purely solar calendar. Now, if we talk about our regular calendars, Julian, of course, the Gregorian calendar is purely a solar calendar. It's not about there's nothing lunar about it. New moons are not tied at all. Whereas in the Bible, we see both of them are mentioned. So there are a lot of cultures, not only Israelite culture, there are a lot of cultures. There are many Indian calendars, there are several Hindu calendars, for example, who follow both the new moon as well as the solar, as well as Zoroastrians. Probably Egyptians also followed something similar. There are many cultures around the world who follow different calendars that actually tie to the sun, to the lights, me'orot, that God has created. Anyway, this is all obviously for information only. We're living in a modern era. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon. Also, please do comment below, and I will see you with another video again. Until then, goodbye.